morning, everybody. From Men's League Legend, production of Grove City Hockey, we welcome you to the inaugural first podcast every Monday morning. A quick update for today, May 10th, is National Bobby Orr Day. The reason why it's National Bobby Orr Day is the very famous Bobby Orr flying over as he is scoring the goal to go into the Stanley Cup playoffs happened today on May 10th. Little fact about Bobby Orr is after that season, he won his first Norris Trophy in 1968 and won every Norris Trophy until 1975 after that. Let me welcome our fellow podcasters in, Matt Flannery, Skylar Hetrick, Sean Takachi, and Damon Pajak.
Hey.
Boys, let's get right into it. There's no reason to delay any further. As all of you guys know from this past week, there's been a lot of controversy on player safety and suspensions that should be dealt out. So we got a quick clip here to show you to get prepped for this next segment. But the question to think about while we're watching this is, does the law and professional sports mingle, overlap, or are they separate entities? So let's watch this quick clip real quick.
Well, McSorley is out there as well. Oh, McSorley slashed for Shear and caught him in the helmet.
So after watching that quick clip, I'll give you a little bit of backstory. So Matt McSorley came into that game, two-handed Donald Brashear up in the helmet area, knocked him out, completely unconscious. He had to be stretchered off the rink and was out for the remainder of the season. The question is, McSorley was charged in a civil lawsuit where he was charged with assault, aggravated assault, and got jail time outside of the NHL for a hit like that. So the question is, and we'll pull the room here real quick, do professional sport contacts, hard hits, heavy hits, dirty hits, do they belong in the court of law outside of the game?
A lot of cases where a guy's out several weeks and a guy gets like a 2 or 3 game suspension.
Sure. So we saw a superstar get choke slammed down to the rink with no suspensions. So do we trust the?
And he's out for the rest of the season.
Sure. So let's not blow that out of proportion. That's
like
3
2
games.
games.
Yeah. Right. So do we accept what player safety is going to pick to keep the superstars of the game safe, or does the court of law need to be involved? I see Sky shaking your head. Go ahead with your take, Sky.
Okay, so I would say the court of law does not need to be involved, but you can't have someone like in this instance, well, I guess not this instance, but today's day and age, like George Peros, if you know who he is
Scum.
Yes, exactly. He's scum. He's not a someone who should be making.
He's not a skill player.
Yes, 100%.
He's very aggressive at heart.
And with the NHL, I can see why they would pick him to run this, because you got to have a goon to like look over the other goons. But the fact that
Clearly not even in this case if he's not going to take it seriously.
yeah, it's a fucking joke.
The king of the
honest.
goons.
He doesn't see it to be as bad as it really is because of the past that he has.
But I just don't understand it, because you look at this past instance with Tom Wilson not getting a suspension, but then you look at all the waterfall effect after this game to where you have all these other players getting a suspension for something that's, I would say, not as severe. But if you give Tom Wilson the suspension after
the Mcdavid situation never happens.
Exactly, 100%. You don't have a line brawl at the beginning of the game. You don't have 6 fights in the first period.
But
First
before
5 minutes.
I go into my take on this, Takashi, you look like you're itching over there to make a statement.
Exactly what is sport defined as? It's a competition by a set of rules that you abide by and you compete with. So when you break those rules, or in the regular world, laws, you should get essentially punished for it. If the NHL is not going to take anything to an effect, then yes, by all means, you can take it to the civil court system. Do I think you should do that? No, that's kind of a character issue with the person. You shouldn't. You know what you're getting into when you go in these games. So why would you go outside?
That's not a part of the game.
No, it's not. But it is on the NHL because they are essentially the judicial branch to, take that into their own hands and discipline these players. But if they don't do that, then it's up to the players to do the disciplining. To Skylar's take, you don't have Mcdavid just cross-checking somebody in the face.
So
with this,
I
like,
don't even want to talk about
with
that.
McSorley,
I want to
though,
get into that in a little bit.
Yeah, with McSorley though, like you can see complete kid, like he's sitting there, he's lining up and just swinging his stick at his head. Like I think at
clear
that
intent
point
to
he
injure.
needs to be charged.
That's
honestly
where the charge comes through.
Yeah.
There's an obvious clear intent to injure. That's when it needs to come into play.
okay,
Ended up like a guy about to drive a golf ball.
I wouldn't say intent to injure, but something over the
If you're
top
hitting-
like
if you're
this.
aiming for the head. How are you
Yeah,
not
but
intending
you-
to injure? That's
No. I understand that 100%, but you got to get the court involved when it comes to something like this. If you're taking a cross check at someone's head like Reeves on Wilson during the Stanley Cup Finals, the court doesn't need to come into that. Like, yeah, give him like a
Can I get
1-2
David's
game
opinion on this?
suspension.
Because he
Yeah.
did watching
He
the
has
video.
a
If you
smile on
didn't
his
see the
face.
video
Thank
here,
you.
he's got a smile on his face. The dude looked like Happy Gilmore.
Yeah,
right?
100%. Sender.
Thank you, Sean. Takashi, sorry.
Tamagotchi.
Tamagotchi, my bad. I'm kind of on Flan's side here, where I think it's okay in some situations when it is so unbelievably outside the letter of the law that is stated in the rule book of the league that it's playing in. Absolutely. When a guy is skating away from you and you decide to two-hand him and you just crack him right in the temple with your stick of all things, yes, absolutely. That was intent to injure. That was intent to. I mean, he could have killed him easily.
Okay, so
that's whenever I think that's okay.
A good segue off of intent to injured versus kill him. So are we in agreement that it is on the intent of the I guess the malignant party, or is it the results? So the reason that I asked that is we're going to bring up Malarchuk in a second, and Malarchuk was a goalie that got his carotid artery slit by a skate, almost died, spent the next year out of the league and post-traumatic stress therapy, spent millions and millions of dollars trying to get over that injury, and eventually never played again. So there's no intent to injury, but it ruined his life. So is something like that go outside of the game, or does that stay inside the game?
Well, clearly in an event like that, it was clearly incidental. Like,
Yeah.
wasn't
That's
meant
what
to
I was gonna
happen.
say.
One in a
wasn't
million.
intended.
Sure, but so is
It wasn't Happy
it's like
Gilmore.
wrong
so,
place
so,
at the
so
wrong
if,
time.
if you're driving and a woman in a pushing a stroller runs out in front of you, and you slam your brakes and you don't try to hit her,
I'm going to
but
disagree with
you
that. I'm going to disagree with
I-
that
I'm
comparison
with
for the fact
Flannery.
that a woman with a stroller is going to be incrementally slower than a skate literally being swung at your neck whenever you're in a position where you probably might not be able to move and have no time to react.
Apples and oranges.
The point is that you're like, you do not have intent to hit the lady in the stroller, but if you do, you are still in serious fucking trouble.
But that's the
Unless you
circumstance
can
of it,
prove
to
that
where
the
a
lady
woman with a stroller,
ran out in
you're
front of you
clearly,
and you did
you're
everything
clearly
in
going to see
your
her
in your power.
at a point before you're going to take that drive.
Now, question: what did the organization do for the goaltender? Did they do anything for him? Did they help him?
I haven't
should.
done enough research
Yeah,
for
I
that,
mean,
but
They
They
sure
probably
should.
compensated
should've.
for him, honestly. Like,
I mean, like covered medical expenses, but like
100%,
if you're talking like in the act of, like, the
100%
player-
and more.
If you're talking in the act of the player whose skate came up and cut him in terms of like any repercussions for them, I personally don't see why there shouldn't have been.
No.
I don't
Me
want
neither.
to see that happen to the
Unless
goalie
you
by
physically
any
take
means.
your skate off and skate up to him.
Yeah, no, unless like
Yeah.
you're trying to like drop kick him, like
You do a UFC roundhouse and catch him right in the throat.
We've all been there at some point playing
Like, I've
hockey
taken a
that
stick to my-
you just
like-
lose an edge at some point.
I've taken a
Yeah.
stick to the face completely, like complete accident. Got it mean to like he got shoved by my teammate. Like by no means do I think he should have really necessarily got a penalty. I mean, he got a high sticking penalty. It's adult league, whatever. But the fact is, like, whenever something happens that isn't intended,
So let's get kind of back to the Tom Wilson incident. So we've all said that George Paris missed a call. That's pretty evident. So what is the solution to player safety? Do we put all of this decision on one person? Do we have a committee? Do we have, I mean, when you look at some of these other leagues, for example, let's take the NFL for example. All of those owners get together when there is something very, like, extremely serious. Do we get the owners involved? Do we get the general managers involved? Is it just a committee amongst peers? Is it a committee amongst retired NHL players? What is the solution so something like this doesn't happen again? Because here's the thing of it. It's great for us Pittsburgh fans because Washington's getting beat up right before going into the playoffs, and most likely they're going to face us. That's great to have them beat up for those playoffs. But it's not really fair if you think about the grand scheme of things. It's not fair that, let's think about if Tom Wilson gets suspended. Nobody else gets fought. Nobody else gets hurt. Nobody else risks getting a suspension for playoffs.
I have a hot take about that.
Let's hear it.
Was it fair to Artemi Panarin to get slammed to the ground?
It's not. So that's the thing.
And
that's
say the Rangers
how,
are in
how,
playoff
do you,
spot.
how do you keep one issue of one game contained in one game and not move over to a second?
You gotta suspend the player at that point.
Yeah, so who suspends him? Are we leaving it in Paris' hand because he clearly didn't do anything?
100% not.
So,
I have an
so what's
answer
the
and
fix?
several hot takes.
You
Go
have to
ahead,
have
go.
a board.
So I like the committee idea. I like the idea of there's a
100%.
committee that's in place to review possible situations where they may have gone too far. I like that idea a lot, and it's a group decision, almost like a jury. I mean, if we're talking about the court of law being brought into the game, then why not have a jury of your peers, which could be current players, former players, maybe some people in the coaching positions, just a group of people that are in some way related to hockey that review these things. My hot take number one. I know I said there was two hot takes, but first one,
there's a beat.
the Panarin injury. That's very upsetting. It sucks. He's a great player. I like to see him play. I don't want to see him hurt. That wasn't the worst thing Tom Wilson did in that 30-second span.
I couldn't agree more with you.
Pavel Buchnevich, however the hell you
Buchnevich.
say his
Buchnevich.
crazy ass name. Let's be American for a little bit. Booch. We'll call him Booch.
That's Bucci Grass.
No, that's Bucci.
Oh,
We're
I'll
just
let
gonna go-
Malkin and all the other Russians know what you said there too.
I just can't pronounce his name. That's all. Booch was essentially being restrained on the ground, and Tom Wilson said, "Oh, here, let me hop in," and punched him full force in the side of the head. And that's damn near the same thing as a guy
I would
getting two
argue
hands in
that
the side of the
a
head as he
glove with the padding to the side of the head, which is covered by the helmet, is not as bad as getting your hair pulled, basically getting the equivalent of a slew foot, and getting your head smacked on.
My argument is
I don't
Panarin
agree with
engaged.
you. I
Panarin
agree 100%
engaged.
with Damon on
I
this
agree
one.
with him. As someone that's had multiple concussions, that's how you get a concussion. A punch to the head,
Okay.
I can take
In
that.
terms of the final outcome, that is way worse. In terms of the act of the violence, punching Booch is way worse. I will admit
engaged.
that.
He's a much smaller person. Tom Wilson's strong. We all know Tom Wilson's strong. When he goes to throw someone to the ice, especially when it's someone who's
Smaller.
pretty small like Panarin, they're gonna go down pretty forcefully.
So-
Panarin had no business.
Yeah, but why are you
engaging.
why are you
I mean, I
taking
get he's
someone
standing-
down like that?
I don't even think
But, like,
he engaged him, to be honest. He was just in the act at the
No,
moment.
he very clearly came at him.
Did he?
Um,
Yeah.
Panarin jumped on his back to
Respect.
get him
well,
off
when you're
of
the leader of a
Booch.
team, what else are you
And then
supposed
Tom
to do?
Wilson
No,
was able to
I
fight
don't
him.
disagree
agree.
with that. I don't
I-
disagree with that.
Well, you disagree that he's not
This is
one of
gonna
the
be a
leaders of
terrible
the team?
podcast to listen to with
No.
all of us talking over each other. By the way,
What I'm saying is Panarin engaged, and it was unfortunate the way how it ended up. But let's say it's a bigger person that engages with him. Let's say it's Ryan Reeves, and they engage like that. Neither one of them is going violently to the ice like that. Panarin is just a much smaller person, and you can't offend someone you can't penalize someone for being bigger and stronger.
But Ryan Reeves also has the class to go after people his own size, whereas
but
Tom Wilson doesn't.
you're still not warranted
But
to take that act to
Panarin went
slam their
after
head.
Wilson.
But there's still no reason. There's still no warrant to take them down to the ice like that. He pulls his head. He throws him off his center of gravity. He pulls him back. He loses his balance. He goes head first into the ice without a helmet. Tom Wilson.
So he lost his balance.
Can I ask a
That
question?
happened.
yeah,
pulled him
from
down,
several
though.
acts
He
that
pulled
Tom
him
Wilson
down.
had caused.
Can I ask a question on this? I'm not disagreeing on what happened in the chain of events. What I'm asking is, are you making that call if Panarin is not out for the rest of the season? Are you basing it based on the injury or on the actual act?
It has to be the act.
I remember what
You're
my other
basing
hot
it on
take
the
was.
act because of the potential outcome, no matter what, even if it doesn't come out
It
with that
happens
injury.
in every single hockey fight, though, that somebody gets dragged down to the ice.
Not like that.
The hockey fights though, like you guys are squaring up one-on-one. You have Panarin, like, yeah, he's coming in, like he's trying to protect his teammate, but you can't.
How many times a game are you seeing people pull each other, like pull the opposite teammates off of a scrum?
Can I ask a question?
Because I hate your hot takes.
So I think we're not going to agree on this. I think that's
No,
plain and
no,
simple, and
there's
we could
not
go
a
around
chance.
this all night.
Yeah,
Here's
100%.
the other question that I have about that incident. If you are a line ref or whatever, as soon as Wilson puffs his chest out, acts like a gorilla, and says "F you,"
You throw him.
Do you throw him? I
100%,
agree. I think
100%.
that's when the refs get involved and say, hey, if you're not going to just give it a 2, you toss him right then and there.
He's showing that it's a joke. Like you need to throw him at that point in time because what's gonna lead? It's like a snowball effect. Like you let him get away with that, what else are they gonna let everything get away with? So you throw him at that point, tell him to get the hell out of the game and come back to the next one.
Give an inch, take a mile, apparently.
Are we ready for my hot take?
Yes, sir.
It's steamy. It's a steamy
this
hot
is not
take.
going to be great.
You know what? The first couple hot takes weren't steamy, so I'm waiting.
The NHL knew what they were doing when they didn't suspend him.
Oh, Jesus
TV
Christ, here we
ratings
go.
the following game.
The
they knew was
ratings
gonna
for
be
the Rangers and
plenty of
Capitals game,
penalties.
I haven't looked into them, but they have to be off the charts. People that I know who weren't hockey fans watched that first period.
Yeah, but the thing with that though is why bring viewers to just that game?
Because I don't agree with that logic. You want to bring anybody who is of the big 3 sports. Hockey is easily the lowest.
Oh, 100%.
Or big 4, sorry.
They're not even considered in the Big Four. They're
So-
considered
so-
the 5th like redheaded stepbrother right outside of the Big Four.
So the
100%.
more people you get in front of it,
They'll
the
take
more people.
soccer in the Big Four.
Well, I was about to say, who's in the big 4 first off?
They'll take soccer. The,
be
ESPN
MLB,
classifies soccer,
football,
It's gonna
hockey,
go NFL,
and
basketball.
basketball,
Baseball.
MLB. The MLB is
MLB.
is they're going downhill. Their
They're
sport
still-
might not even exist in 5 years.
Yeah, they're
I
still
think-
paying.
And the
I think
NHL's
that's great.
the NHL's shooting up.
Nope,
They're
nope. ESPN from several.
Okay, so you can't count ESPN because this year they just bought into the contract. The NHL has tripled their broadcasting numbers just this year. I think for sure that you have to consider them the top 4. I don't think they need to be number 3, but
They're about to be.
there's nothing that's above them. MLS is
They're
not above them.
Considering the top four,
No,
much
the
as they
soccer
were.
in the U.S. is just not
It's
there.
it's lovely how nice things transition into each other. So we're gonna take a quick break and we're gonna start talking about Turner Sports as soon as we're back. You're listening to Grove City Hockey Podcast.
Bonus Accounting is Western PA's premier accounting firm, offering payroll services, QuickBook advising, and business accounting, making them an accounting hat trick. Visit them today at bonusaccounting.com. Bonus Accounting, the firm of the future.
Welcome back to Men's League Legends presented by Grove City Hockey. We have a hot take coming up about the new acquisition of the NHL broadcast by Turner Sports. And the question is, you have your ideal lineup. You have your host, your sports analyst, and your announcer. Those are the 3 positions we're looking for tonight. I kind of want to hear, what is everybody's thoughts and who do you hope to see in these new roles?
Can I go first?
Yes.
I couldn't tell you a single person that I had even thought of. That is all.
Well, I really appreciate you going first. Thank you
I'll
very
take no
much
one for
that.
200.
So, Takachi, who do you have for your 3 positions?
All right, hot take here. I'll give you the play-by-play person. We'll start off right there.
It's going to be the same person as we had.
I like it.
Me.
Oh,
Me.
no.
Yeah.
Boo.
Oh, okay, on a serious note, though. I forget the guy's name from Carolina Hurricanes. He does fill in on the NBC team a little bit, but I'd also like to see Darren Pang, too. I like him from St. Louis. Keith Jones, he's always a good one. Bring him in. He's got great takes on everything, and he's very impartial. So, those would probably be my 3 right there.
Sky, who do you have?
Off the bat, oh boy. My 3 is if it's possible, I take Doc Emmerich 100%.
John
Yeah.
Forsland. Sorry, John Forsland. That's
What
what it
a
was.
what a
Respect,
homer.
respect. But yeah, I'll take Doc Emmerich, and honestly, I'm taking Ryan Whitney, and I'm taking Sean Avery. I think that'd be an interesting combo we got there.
I don't hate that.
Okay.
I am going to improve on your
All right.
thought.
All right, I got
Go
you.
ahead.
Just
Okay,
because I want to see the pot get stirred. I want to see shoes thrown.
Jesus
For my
Christ.
analyst.
Mike Milberg.
For my analyst.
Oh, buddy,
Shut
no,
up.
no,
Shut
boo.
I want to see all the Inter fans boiling. I want to see all the
Everything
Inter
about
fans
Boston's just
boiling on
terrible.
Facebook. Whenever I'm bored at work, I go on the Penn's fucking Facebook page, and whenever I see a comment about Mike Milbury,
Hey, you see Christian Ricketts.
shout out C-Rack.
Fat Ricketts.
Okay.
we miss Fat Ricketts.
So that's one. What is he filling in at?
Analyst.
Analyst. Okay, so who's your play-by-play and your host?
Didn't get that far. That's all I had.
Okay.
I'm gonna move on.
So I'll help you. So your host, I think, needs to be Ryan Whitney.
Okay.
Your analyst, which would be so great for the brand, is get Keith Yandel to retire and put him in there.
Oh, buddy, dude, that'd
And your yeah, those two would yuck it up and would just make hockey so much fun for everybody.
But two Boston
They're just
people
like two
going at it,
Hoosiers.
I don't know if I could take that.
Oh no, it's the camaraderie between the two of them that would just sell the sport so easily. Think about Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal. That's who you need to replace for hockey.
Yeah, but they also have like 5 people just going at it.
They were actually good though.
I respect Yandel. I don't respect Whitney. I think you can find a lot more colorful of a person.
So,
I don't like the idea of them being censored. If they're going to do something, they need to be able to speak freely and speak how they want to say it, how they want to say it. With them on a national broadcast like that, I don't think they'll have that freedom, and that's what I don't like about it.
Honestly, I think Biz would be the one to adapt that on.
Biz already does it for Arizona.
Yeah, exactly. He does it for Arizona.
So here's my hot take on your play-by-play guy.
Oh boy.
Really? He'd be good. How do you prime from TSN though?
I rest my case. First of all, you got to worry about him speaking English, but then after that, he'll be golden. The Punjabi guy.
He does the Indian broadcasts, mostly for Western Canada, but he does work a lot for the TSN, at least for Calgary and Vancouver.
And people are going to
Those
wonder
Western
why we're
Canadian
explaining this
teams.
to each other because only half of us were able to hear the actual
Thanks,
clip.
Does anybody else have a last-minute edit before we go quick to break?
Negative Ghost Rider.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here. A word from our sponsors. We'll be right back after these messages.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by Grove City Hockey. It may not be reproduced, retransmitted in any form without the expressed written consent of Grove City Hockey, LLC. We thank you for your understanding and hope to continue to enjoy this complimentary broadcast. To purchase footage, email grovecityhockeyllc@gmail.com.
Welcome back to Men's League's Legend, presented by Grove City Hockey. Our next conversation topic. Over the last 4 days, Conor McDavid is on a point-per-period base right now. He is looking to hit the 150 mark if he was on a regular season. Probably won't reach it on a shortened season. But the question is, I'm not asking if he's the best player all time. There's not enough hardware, not enough sample size to determine that. Is he the most talented player of all time? And if he's not, who are your nominations? Going around the room, Sky, you're shaking your head. Yes, go ahead and say your take on that.
Oh boy. Yeah, with the sample size, I can't say Conor McDavid would be. It is definitely amazing the things he can do with the puck, with the speed he can go at. It is utterly insane. But to go with the most talented of all time, I just can't agree with that. I'm not trying to be a biased Penguins fan, but I would say Mario Lemieux, to be honest. 100%.
So it's interesting that you pick Lemieux, and based on his talent and not his outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Lemieux had some pretty unbelievable teams behind his belt. Obviously has some hardware attributed to his
100%.
name.
But think about the technology he also deal with. I mean, they were playing with wooden sticks. I mean, now with this, all the sticks, and you guys deal with it more than I do, obviously, at this point in our playing careers. But you mean put those sticks there? Yeah.
But not even
put those sticks in at least Gretzky and Lemieux's hands. I wouldn't be surprised if they could do the same.
I'm not even gonna go as far as the equipment in terms of sticks, skates, all that. I'm gonna point out the training regimens, because look at how the players train nowadays. From whenever they're brought up, look at the technology that they have. The different stuff they can use to lift and get their workouts in. I honestly feel like that's what truly separates this generation from prior generations, to the point where you really cannot compare.
Can I pause you for a second? Why do we have a book on hockey anatomy when all of you guys we all have beer guts here?
No, you guys do not have a book on hockey anatomy. I have a book on hockey anatomy.
And how's that going so far?
I just got it today.
Okay.
Solid. Doing great over there, buddy.
I wish you weren't so
So-
fucking
Chance to
awkward.
read it yet.
So, Sky, you mentioned that you didn't pick McDavid because of the things that he can do with his stick. My question to you is, do you think McDavid has better hands and ability to put the puck on a string? Do you think he is better than the Magic Man, Datsuk?
That's a definitely a hard question. Honestly, I would say yes. And the only reason being, yeah, you slow it down. You see a lot of Datsuk's highlights coming from him slowing the play down. He's getting a breakaway. He's getting a shootout opportunity. But you look at McDavid, he is doing the same exact thing, but it's full speed. It's 5-on-5. Like, the things he can do with his speed, that's what makes everything so much better about him. Is, he has the vision, he has the shot, he has the hands, but it's his speed that changes everything.
Anybody care to challenge Sky on that? I personally agree with you that he is not the most talented. This is always one of the biggest struggles with pro sports.
100%.
Is at what point does the technology and the lifestyle change that it's not even really the same sport?
It's like nothing but growing, though. That's the thing. You
It's
look
evolving.
Yeah, 100%. It's like you look at people like, okay, so you're looking back at like Lemieux, Gretzky, you have Datsuk coming up, you have like Crosby, you have Ovechkin, but now you're like looking at today's day and age, and you have people like McDavid, Matthews, Draisaitl, like they're sitting there, like they have like I feel like it's like such an advantage over older players because technology nowadays is just growing and growing. So you're looking at today with that kid from Russia, I can't remember his name, but he's going to be going. You have Conor Mcdavid, he's coming up. You have Shane Wright, he's also coming up. Like
Pavel Barber.
not a chance in hell. Kid has hands, but yeah. But you're going to look like later on, like say 10 years down the road when you have all these up and coming people coming up. And it's a lot of it I feel like is going to be like a contributing factor is going to be the way that you can train nowadays compared like back then. Like you look back at the 80s and 90s, you have like Bossy and you have like Lemieux, you have Yager, like they're sitting there smoking a pack a day type of people, like, eating chips. And I know it's a little far, I see the look on your face, but like their diets weren't there, like their training regiments weren't there, like they didn't really care what they did to their body, they just sat there and played hockey. And
I have a
just,
counter
like,
argument.
Different to compare that from back in the day.
Would you
to
say a hot take?
nowadays.
No, not a hot take, but a counter argument.
Okay. Go ahead, Damon.
Sender.
If you compare them, if that's how you're comparing them, then you compare them against how they played against other players of that era. Because the training that was there for the older players, like the Gretzky's, the Lemieux, that was the training that everybody had. Everybody was able to get that same training. Conor McDavid, the training that he has, that's the same training that the other players in the NHL have. So if whichever one is, you would say is farther hands above the rest of the group
Pun intended.
at that time, that's the better one.
That's respectable. I see what
You know,
mean.
if Lemieux's smoking 3 packs a day after he gets out of practice, and everybody else in the league is smoking 3 packs a day after they get out of practice, and they're eating hot dogs and garbage, then that's what everyone's doing.
At Phil Kessel next time.
You know, I wouldn't disrespect my man Phil like that.
100% no.
And it's the same thing. Like if the training and the nutrition and all that they have today, everybody today has that access.
Well, there's different varieties. I mean, most people, they have different medical teams, different nutritionists. So, I mean, everyone does a little bit different tweaking, but yeah, I mean.
But for all intents and purposes, it's, you know, one guy say, hey, what I learned, I read from this book. Everybody else can read that same book, and they can get the same knowledge from it. The training and the nutrition that is going right now, anybody could do that same thing.
The only difference with that is applying it to the program that the team puts out to them, though.
Yeah, but there's pretty much every big name player has their own personal trainer that they work out with outside of the team.
So while I agree with that, I guess let's start with a baseline. Would we agree that Gary Roberts is the best athletic trainer?
Oh, 100% without a doubt.
So not every player has access to him because he's on salary by a couple of different individuals, and he can't train everybody. So I don't disagree that you generalizing that everybody has the same access to players, but every player doesn't have the access to the best.
But my argument is where Gary Roberts got it. Like it's documented. I know Gary Roberts made the Penguins, every trainer on there when they were filled up the water bottles, they were Fiji water because it's the pH levels are balanced and it is a much healthy water. They were drinking Gatorade bottles full of Fiji water. That's been said. If I know it, they could easily know it. All the information that he got, that he put into making his regimen,
But
could be done by somebody else.
you go back in time, the access to information isn't as great as it is in today's day and age.
Yeah, because Gary Roberts would sit there and be like, okay, I'm gonna like send Fiji water to the lab, see what's better about it. And he's not gonna sit there and tell the Washington Capitals that Fiji water is the best thing for their players. Like, you look back at it in time, like he found that out, like he's running with it.
Especially with the internet too. Like the internet
100%.
just came out
Yeah.
for a lot of these players, you know, when they were still playing like Gary Roberts. They didn't have that. You had to go to an actual library and stuff, and you know, different libraries have different books. You couldn't just Google search
No.
the best nutritional plan. So I mean, it was there, but the way to access that information is, you know, increased vastly.
And well, if something's more difficult to get, it's probably more valuable. If you try hard enough, you will get it.
Not necessarily, because if you look at just general information in today's day and age with the touch of Google, you didn't have access to that in the early 90s.
But what I'm saying is the lessons that you learn that take the hardest, like, or the most difficult to learn, is because they're the more important ones. And that same idea goes into with things like nutrition or training regimens and stuff. If it's that important, it's going to be harder to learn.
But just like, you know, like everything else, it evolves.
Things in life
too.
don't happen without physics. Physics is a very hard science to learn.
Yes, but I mean, the coronavirus just came out of nowhere too. Things happen, our bodies change and react different ways now than it did beforehand. So that information that they're looking at now may not even mean anything at this point in time.
I think regardless, Damon, the take that you're saying is not incorrect, that everybody has access to it. But not everybody is a master in physics, to your point. There's so many grade A physicists out there, but not every player has access to a grade A physicist. And not every player can teach themselves physics to become a great NHL player. So at some point, there's a lack of resources and availability for every player to get top of the line, top notch education, training, regimens. And at some point, not everybody has access to the best information. You're absolutely right. Anybody who puts their work towards becoming an expert can be an expert in the field, but not every player has access to experts like that. For example, if you are a Leon Draisaitl growing up in Germany, you will not have the same trainers that Canadians have. You won't. It's a simple fact.
It's not the trainers. It's the trainers just tell you what to do. It's what you do that makes the difference. And what you see, they all post it and everything nowadays, especially if we're talking about someone who's a recent player, they have access to see what the activities or what the workouts, what the training activities that they're doing or what they are doing.
Yeah, but they don't have the knowledge for it, though. That's the thing. You have this 13-year-old kid. He's gonna look up to his trainer, overseeing what he's gonna see from like an Instagram post. Like you're gonna, whenever you're growing up playing hockey, you're gonna sit there and follow the people above you. You're not gonna sit there and look at video. Like, you will look at videos and see little differences, but like seeing a 10-second video from somebody isn't gonna explain what you need to do.
So,
you know what I mean?
I know you don't follow hockey prospects that closely, but do you know who Ayaguchi is?
Never heard of it.
He is a Japanese-born player who is making his way up through the ranks of the USHL, the United States development team, trying to become an NHL player. Here's the problem: the guy is from Japan, where there is next to no hockey base, and he picks his training regimen and his instructor based off of flashy videos, good marketing, and impressive pedigree on the rink.
You know who his trainer is?
He doesn't pick a science-proven player or a science-proven trainer. He doesn't pick a master in nutrition, doesn't pick a master athletic trainer. He picks on the information that he can see, regurgitate, and make decisions on. Skylar, I know you're dying, so who is his trainer?
Pavel Barber.
So
I'm not taking anything against Barber. Barber is an unbelievable hockey player. He is going to be better than anybody any of us see live in person. The difference is he is very tailored at the craft that he does. He is not a rounded trainer to make players like that become NHL signed prospects.
funny story about that. When I was interning with the Madison Capitals, I mentioned to them to take him during the Phase 1 draft. They said I was crazy for doing it, and I forget who eventually took him. I think it was like Lincoln or something like that. But he does a lot of his training over in Canada too, with Barber, training with other Canadian prospects. So I think that's what's closing down that gap, and that's why he got drafted there. And I just wanted to say, Madison Capitals, he should have taken him.
The point of the take is there will always... Bill Gates was successful based on the family he was born in and the opportunities he was given. We all have our certain different level of successes based on what environment we are raised in. Just because the information's out there, it doesn't mean that it's readily available to everyone. To your point, anybody can get information if they try hard enough, but at some point you'll spend all of your time and energy researching and not becoming a better hockey player. I think that's my position on the matter.
That's fair.
Yeah, I agree with that point. It's gonna be based on what you were saying. Like, it's gonna be based on the trainer, 100%. But like these upcoming prospects, they're gonna pick the trainer that nowadays 100% that like they're all educated. Like, they're gonna pick the right trainer. Honestly, 100%. You look at the foreign countries though, like how you were mentioning him. Like, he picks Pavel Barber just because he's a flashy YouTuber. He'll get his name out there, but I feel like people have access. And it's like, the other thing is, you think about it, like there's all these trainers out there that we don't know their names. 100%. I watch YouTubers. I sit there and watch the people they train with. I have no idea who the hell they are. But in the end, they know what the hell they're talking about. They're pushing these players to get to the draft. They're pushing these players to be the best that they can be. And I have faith in the process, honestly.
We're going to stop real quick for a quick break, and then we're going to come back with our newest segment, Bet for the Build. We'll be right back with Grove City Hockey.
Looking for that perfect holiday gift? Look no further. Grove City Hockey is partnering with By Designs to fit your perfect hockey gift ideas. Search for custom trophy displays, wall decor, picture frames, nameplates, and so much more. Your imagination is the limit. Email them today at bydesigncustom@gmail.com and tell them Grove City Hockey sent you for 10% off. By Design Custom, crafting dreams into reality.
Welcome back to Men's League's Legend, presented by Grove City Hockey. I'm going to explain the next segment here real quickly for all of our viewers out there, but all of you know that at Grove City Hockey, we want to grow the sport of inline more than anything in the world. And, of course, all of that takes, valuable donations from our sponsors, but we also want to try to make some fun ways to raise money to grow the sport. So Grove City Hockey sponsored each of our podcast speakers today to put some money on some fun NHL sports betting, and we're having a race to see who can make the most money from now until the Stanley Cup playoffs and raise money for growing the sport of inline hockey. So before we go over the winner this week, I want everybody to go through and name what your bet slips were, and we'll have a quick graphic up after we name them and see who won for the week.
Well, before we go into anything, I just want to say 1-800-GAMBLER if you have a problem. Don't bet over your means. Just if you or a friend has a problem, 1-800-GAMBLER.
Good guy, Damon.
So on mine, it was just 3-pick parlay that ended up not making any sense. It was Alex Ovechkin.
Money down odds. Come on.
Okay, I'm not there yet. Calm down.
Start with that first.
No.
Yes.
No, sir.
Goddamn head.
So I had Alex Ovechkin to score a goal. He ended up not playing against the Rangers on the 5th. All these are on May 5th. I had Roman Yossi for Nashville to get a point. He did not. And I had Nathan McKinnon to score a goal against the San Jose Sharks, and he did not.
Honestly, I thought he would, to be honest.
It was a perfectly imperfect parlay, if you will. The odds were plus 581,
Cheers to your consistency.
and I bet $5. It's gone.
It's all gone.
It's gone.
You lost everything.
Yeah, it's all gone.
Is that your only bet for the week?
That's all I placed.
All right. I'll go next because mine's relatively short. So I bet the Rangers on the overspread to include shootouts, which they did not. I had a parlay with the Canadians to beat the spread 1.5, the Knights to beat the spread 1.5, and the Colorado Avalanche to beat the spread 1.5. They did not. And then my last bet was the Yotes over the Kings, and they did not. So I was easily a big loser for the weekend. Skylar, I know you fit along with that segue, so let's hear what you do.
All right, gentlemen. So, Grove City Hockey, the wonderful organization they are, gave me $25 to bet on this horrible MGM Grand app that they provide. So I did 3 bets. So I threw $10 down on the Winnipeg Jets and Calgary Flames both to score a goal in the first period. Yeah, they let me down. Shocker. And then I decided to throw money on Anthony Mantha to have a point between the Capitals and New York Rangers. Sadly, he did not do that, even though they had a ton of power plays and TJ Oshie put on a clinic. And then I did a nice little $10 parlay. Of course, I picked Tom Wilson to score because, after what happened.
Did you go through your entire bankroll on one night?
Yeah, I thought.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
You're not getting a lot of $25 a night. It was $25 to last you from now until the Stanley Cup Finals.
Oh, I thought it was $25.
You think we're bankrolling
Well,
$25 a Wednesday
I was
night?
misinformed there. I'll put my
So this is perfect.
Yeah, we got our first situation. right?
So Sky, we have a lifeline for you. Grove City Hockey will be sending out a tweet and an Instagram post and a Facebook that says Save Skylar. And if that gets 10 likes, you're back in for $5.
More than 10. I'd say 25.
When did this occur?
We're gonna
I thought it was
override.
25 a week.
Where do you think we're
What do
getting
you
this
think?
money
Grove City
from?
Hockey is made of money?
But I was
thinking money grows on
I
trees.
would,
25 and see how much you can.
I would not have bet that much if I knew that.
Why do you think I placed one parlay? $5.
Why do you think Flan put $1 on every one of his parlays?
Well, I was sitting there thinking, where is this money coming from? Okay, all right, well, I'll run with it.
That's
Well,
bad
let's
accounting.
Let's hope someone likes this.
So we'll ask the Men League legends here.
Don't say that he's the company's accountant.
Hello.
So we'll,
Hashtag bonus count.
And a word from our sponsors.
Bonus accounting.
So, Sky, being misinformed, as always, the Men's League legends that followed the rules will be voting on your fate. Do we let Sky back in for $5? Does he have to get 5 new subscribers on his behalf? Or is he out?
Gentlemen?
I'll wait for the other two.
Let's hear a
Flan
nominee.
and Damon, and I will.
If we're doing $10, I'm going to say $1 a subscriber. So he has until next Wednesday.
Ooh.
However many subscribers that he gets by next Wednesday is how many
like
dollars that he
that.
gets.
But
I think we'd have to be more specific because if he gets that many subscribers after 7 o'clock, most of these games have already started. Whatever, 7 maybe Wednesday noon. Sure.
I'd say Wednesday 5. Gives him 2 hours at least before the starts of the first game. Gives time to get bets in.
Let's do Wednesday at noon. I like it.
I was thinking the other option is we could, make it funny and do
So how about we do this? Next Friday,
yes, sir.
pickup.
Yes.
You take a week off for being a bad boy and not listening to rules. You play goalie, and all of us do a shootout.
Respect.
Every save is $1. Every goal is minus $1.
Do I get to be on my feet or do I have to play on skates?
skates.
I think skates.
Skates.
Okay. All right, I'll take her.
All right. That's how you earn your way back in.
Yes, sir.
I like it. That, or we could do like however many shots he takes. That's a dollar.
All right, Flan.
Give me a
Flan,
bottle of
Flan,
Gina, let's go
explain
at it.
your explain your bets this week.
All right, so 3 bets in total. Won a couple of parlays, swinging for the fences. First one I went down pretty much all favorites. I think actually all favorites. Did an 8-game parlay, $1 to pay out.
$1 to pay out. Well, that's not very good payout.
No, I said placed $1. 7,085 odds. So
Dang!
went 4 for 4.
Dang!
So thinking that may have happened, I tried to counter it. I did a 6-game parlay and picked probably at least 4 to 5 underdogs. I went 1 for 5 on that one.
Ooh.
$1 to pay out. 2,999 odds.
Can we just establish that Flan doesn't know what payout means?
Your stake is $1. Your payout is what you would win.
Thank you.
I was only listening to the parts that I should react to.
But profited by banking on the Caps Rangers over that there's going to be a bunch of power plays, a bunch of goals. Wasn't until the end of the second half of the third period they got the last 2 goals to go over. So
Was it set at 5.5?
yeah,
Ooh, that was a close one.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
We watched
Because
that
the
with
Rangers
Greg
scored, I think they
like 2 minutes left. Something
Yeah,
like that.
what they cut it 3-2 or so, or no, they cut it 4-2. No, it would have been 3-2, I think.
The final was 4-2.
Yeah, and then the Rangers got the empty netter.
So let's take a quick look. Oh, we have one left. Sean, did you read your bets yet?
I did not. I had 4. So my first one I played was a parlay, just a 2-legged one between the Blues and Jets. Watching the Blues play that third period, I was just massively disappointed. So I put another $5 bet on the Jets money line at 10,000 minus 10,000 odds. So I won 5 cents on that.
Ooh.
I won 5 cents on that because I was so upset that the
Build
Blues
that rink.
lost.
Build that rink.
Mid-game, bet on the Avalanche to beat the Sharks. They blew that lead. But made it up because the Kings won. Put $5 down, got $10 back.
So which one was on the wrong day?
The one on the wrong day was the Bruins, Hurricanes, and Maple Leafs in a parlay. And of course, the Hurricanes like to choke, and they lost that game with about 2:13 left. Suter scoring the game-tying goal, while the
Bunch of
Bruins and
jerks.
the Maple Leafs, they destroyed their opponents.
Sounds like you're a little salty, bud.
Just a little bit. Like if I was a cracker, I'd be a saltine.
And a word from our
let's
sponsors.
take a quick look at the dialogue on the screen and see who's the winner of this week. And as you can see here,
I want my hat.
The winner is Matt Flannery. Matt, go get your hat reward here. As you guys know, every week we will have a new winner for the hat, and the overall winner will keep the hat for good. We'll be sending out a picture of Matt in his new Grove City Hockey hat. Matt, quick winner circle for you. What do you want to thank your successes on for the week, and give a chance to shit talk all the rest of the panelists for the evening?
Suck it, losers. Next segment.
When I eventually win that, I know how I'm going to take my picture. And I'm not going to say it because I know one of you will take it. But I know how I'm going to take my picture.
Okay, if I had to bet that who's going to win this, I'm sorry, but you're going to go out next after Skylar. And then I think it might be either me or Jake, and Flan might win. I think Flan might win.
I wouldn't go that far.
I wouldn't go that far.
I'm just
Hey,
going to
he's
use
safe
that as
bet.
bulletin board material.
I would
That's
go that
bulletin
far.
board material,
Use
baby.
it to your liking, man.
That's my motivation. My haters are my motivators.
Yeah, but we're sitting pretty in first place, boys, so let's keep the gravy train rolling.
And a quick reminder to all our viewers out there, again, Grove City Hockey trying to grow the sport of inline hockey. If you feel inclined, please go to our Kickstarter page, donate today. We're trying to grow it in not only Grove City, but all of Western Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Erie, even into Ohio. We want to grow the sport. We want to make more kids being able to play. We want to get more adults playing. We want this thing to pick up, and that's what we're here for. I can't thank my panelists enough, and signing off from the Men's League Legends podcast presented by Grove City Hockey, this is Jake Drzezinski. We'll see you next Monday.
Remember, 1-800-GAMBLER if you or someone you know has a problem.